Yeah, I mean, it was the next logical step. It couldn't stay in Santa Cruz. Santa Cruz is lovely, but it was so small. And I'm a big personality.
That was Stuart Schuffman, a.k.a. Broke-Ass Stuart. I'm Jeff, and this is Storied San Francisco. Thanks for joining us. This is another special episode for us. You might already know Stuart, and you might have caught an episode we did with him way back in Season 1. Over the years, we started doing things a little differently here on Storied SF, and so we caught up with Stuart, this time sitting down at the Wooden Nickel to hear all about his life. Check back Thursday for Part 2. Here's Stuart.
My parents, my dad's a Jew from New York. My mom's a Jew from El Paso.
Oh.
And they met in Los Angeles. And what's funny is my dad had been up here in San Francisco, and he met this woman in a bar, was hitting on her, and she's like, look, I'm married, but I've got a cousin in LA. You live in LA, I'll give you her phone number, and you should give her a call and take her out. It was the 70s, that's how you met, but you could just cold call someone and be like, hey, I met your cousin in San Francisco, you want to go on a date?
Absolutely, yeah.
And my parents...
Was he hitchhiking by any chance?
No, that came later. No, just kidding. So yeah, they went on a blind date, and they got married 6 months later. And they're still together.
Do you know what bar here it was?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, maybe not even a bit of bar. I just know that my dad hit on some woman, and she was married and said, call my cousin.
Yeah.
But it actually was her cousin-in-law. She's not related to my mom. She was married to my mom's cousin.
Okay. Okay. Do you know what brought your dad? Let's start with your dad. What brought him out here from New York? Out west to LA, I guess.
He was just over New York. I want to get out and.
In the city, or?
Well, yeah, he was living in New York City. He's originally from Long Island. His mom was from Brooklyn. So I grew up going out to New York a lot because when I was growing up, my grandmother was in Queens, and Queens in Florida. And my grandmother was the only old Jewish lady who moved to Florida to die and didn't die and moved back up north.
Oh, shit.
But she only made it to Baltimore and stayed there for a few years, and that's where she expired.
It's funky town to stop in. And
yeah, but my aunt and uncle are there. That's why. Or we're there. I don't know where they are now. They're in Rhode Island now or some shit. But my dad was just over in New York, and it was the 70s, and he's like, well, I'm going to go to California. And yeah.
Sunny California.
Yeah.
And he went to LA, you said.
Yeah, I went to LA, and my mom was in LA too.
Okay. Do you know what brought your mom out? It's also sunny in El Paso.
Yeah. I mean, it's California in the 70s. Who wouldn't want to be there?
Just the draw.
LA in the 70s? Shit. I want to be in LA in the 70s.
Right.
Right. And so they met, and they're still together 40 some odd years later. If I'm 40 years old, they've been together for 45 years almost? Something like that?
Fucking A.
Maybe 43 or 4 years? Yeah. They still like each other mostly.
Awesome. Congratulations to the Schuffmans.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. Do you know what kinds of things they were doing either for work or for fun when they moved to LA, when they moved to California? In other words, how are you conceived?
I imagine the old-fashioned way. I don't know what they were into. I mean, they were... it's funny.
Do they talk about their early California days? I mean...
Yeah. I mean, they were in LA. I was born in LA. And they were here. They were in LA for I was only there for 2 years. I moved when I was 2. We moved to El Paso.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Yeah, so my grandparents are in El Paso.
Okay.
The El Paso story is really interesting, actually, how we got to El Paso.
Let's hear it. You know I'm from Texas, right?
Yeah, you're from Houston?
Fort Worth.
All right.
So very, very, very different from El Paso.
It's also 1,500 miles from El Paso.
Approximately 10 million miles, yes.
Yeah. I mean, in so many ways.
But it's if you're from Texas, all Texas towns you have an affinity for. It's they're kind of like yours.
Sure, and El Paso is a whole other world.
It's a border. It's the biggest border town.
Yeah, I mean, up until recently, up until the past 10, 15 years, El Paso and Juarez, the border was very fluid.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole region together is 1.5 million people.
Yep.
Maybe more. But that's changed obviously in the past 10, 15 years with the cartel wars, whatever.
Yep.
El Paso's always been a very blue part of Texas. Mm-hmm. Or at least not always, but for the past 30, 40 years. Mm-hmm. And the whole Gulf Coast is.
Yeah, Beto didn't start that.
Beto did not start that. But yeah,
he's of that though.
Sure.
He's exactly of that.
And I definitely know. I'm guaranteed my grandmother knew his grandmother.
Yeah.
And, it's it's a small area out there, especially like white people. There's like not a lot of white people in El Paso, like, and so like it's mostly like there's not a lot of Jews in El Paso either.
I would
so
imagine.
so let me get back to that. So it's a really interesting story.
Sure.
And so so El Paso's like at this point probably nearly 90% Latino. So it's a maybe not as much my mom was growing up, but my great grandfather left Lithuania. It was World War I was on the rise, was about to happen kind of thing, and he knew he didn't want to get conscripted into the Tsar's army because Jews and people and peasants they were cannon fodder. They just got thrown in front of the lines. So he like literally just walked out of his village and went east. He didn't even go west. He went east, and like I don't know, like exactly he walked all the way through to fucking, but like took to
if
he had money
Siberia?
for I don't know if he had money for trains or wagons or whatever.
Right.
But like he and made it all the way. He left through China.
Wow.
Went through Japan.
Holy fuck.
I've got a photo on my Instagram actually of my great grandfather in Japan. It's like a Yokohama photo studio, right? Or it might have been in San Francisco because he landed in San Francisco and he helped tear down the World's Fair in 1915.
Oh shit. I was just about to ask when. So like kind of when World War I was starting. Mm-hmm. That shit. Okay, great.
So he helped tear down the World's Fair.
Okay.
And, he had and he got a job as a dishwasher and learning English and and he had some family out in New Jersey.
Okay.
So then he saved some money, got a train out to New Jersey, whatever.
Typically where the Jews were.
New York, New Jersey, sure.
Yeah.
And
typically.
Actually, I bet you my great grandfather probably came through Angel Island, I imagine.
Okay.
But anyway, so he made it out to New Jersey and got a candy route, selling candy door to door, kind of whatever.
Okay.
For his family, had a family's friend, family business. I don't know exactly.
Holy shit.
Ended up joining the U.S. Army anyways for World War I.
Oh wow.
And got tuberculosis. Right?
Oh fuck.
And back then there was no cures for tuberculosis, so what they do is they're like, well, you got this forever. Go to a warm, dry place. So he ended up going to outside of El Paso in New Mexico. He went to I think it was Deming, New Mexico.
Okay.
And he started a little goat farm. And then sent out for his mother and his sweetheart, who was my great grandmother, and brought them in from Lithuania.
Awesome. And
it started the little goat farm there. And then they wanted to move closer to El Paso because that's where a Jewish community was. Because my great grandfather was Orthodox, and so they moved closer to El Paso, and that's where my grandmother was born. And my great aunt, she was born in Deming, and then the rest of them were born in El Paso. So yeah, and then
so there were some Jews.
Yeah,
at least in your family.
Yeah, there were some Jews in the Southwest, but but I mean, it's not like LA or fucking New York, you know.
But you're surprised sometimes. I am to find Jews in El Paso.
Everywhere, Jews everywhere, man. Yeah. Just a smattering though.
It's how they take over.
Yeah. It's part of the conspiracy, honestly.
By the way, we're both Jewish.
And so my grandmother was born in El Paso, my mom was born in El Paso, my brother was born in El Paso. It's like my ancestral homeland.
Okay.
But there's only a couple people left there. Everybody else has gone to California or Phoenix or mostly California.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about any more about your brief life in El Paso? Any good stuff?
I still have some friends from when I was in kindergarten there.
I was gonna ask how long. Yeah. So you started school there.
Yeah, I was there from age 2 to age 7. And when I was 7, I moved to San Diego.
Okay.
So I grew up in San Diego pretty much.
Yeah.
And then after San Diego, I turned 18 and I went to Santa Cruz for college. And then I ended up here.
I'm going to make you back up. Take a sip. Nice try breezing over all that stuff. No, I mean, San Diego. Let's hear about it.
What do you want to hear? It was a great place to grow up.
Your life in San Diego.
This is your life.
In San Diego. What kind of shit were you into?
I was into hippie shit. Well, I was actually my high school was probably the only kid in tie-dye in my high school. But when I was in 6th grade, I had a friend who was had an older brother who was into Velvet Underground and The Doors and stuff. And so then we got into that. And
this is early 90s?
Yeah. I graduated high school in 99.
Okay.
So yeah, I was mid 90s, early 90s. So junior high, I became long hair, tie-dye kid, lots of hemp. I wore enough tie-dye and hemp in my entire life. Look, everybody listening should thank me because I've done it for you. No one else ever has to wear tie-dye and hemp. I did so much of that in junior high and high school that nobody ever has to do it again. No one has
starting to see it come back, by the way. Royalties.
All the 90s shit is back, man. It's so funny seeing teenage girls are dressed like Kurt Cobain who weren't alive when Kurt Cobain was alive.
And might not know who he is.
Right.
Birkenstocks and all that shit.
Yeah. So I was into tie-dye and The Doors and shit. So it's when all my friends were listening to NoFX and like Blink-182 and stuff like that. I was like Jimi Hendrix and the Beatles and shit.
Oh, okay.
And the Dead, but also like, at the same time, I also like loved, it was the 90s, so I also listened to fucking, Wu-Tang and NWA and shit like that too. So I'd have my little like hippie car with like Grateful Dead stickers and stuff, and be like going to school bumping NWA.
Yeah. Do you think maybe your sort of attraction to the hippie lifestyle or whatever, the aesthetic or whatever, did you think that had anything to do with your parents' hippie past? Or like, what were the influences, do you think, that drew you into that?
Weren't terribly hippie. I think they were just like regular people who like, don't get me wrong, I grew up listening to like Crosby, Stills and Nash and stuff like that, but like they weren't like hippies. They just like cool like folky music,
Yeah.
I grew up on like the like folk rock, like Crosby, Stills and Nash, and like stuff like that, but also like soul music, like Curtis Mayfield and all that stuff too.
Right.
My mom was more into the folky stuff. My dad was into the soul stuff, and they both kind of into both of them.
Records, 8-tracks?
Oh, man, I still have their whole record collection, yeah.
Awesome.
Well, bits of it, probably out of the gazillion moves of records have disappeared, but
Right.
But I've got some pretty cool records. At the beginning of COVID, Kyle and I spent a lot of time just listening to like fucking old LPs and like crying.
Right.
Just listening to Joni Mitchell and crying.
Well, yeah.
Oh yeah, Kylie didn't cry, just me.
Yeah.
But it's hard not to cry when I listen to Joni Mitchell.
I just saw you tweeted the other day something about listening to Blue, right?
Yeah, it was the 50th anniversary of Blue.
Right.
And I managed to go on a walk through the city and listen to Blue and not cry
The entire
once.
thing, and
Yeah,
you didn't
not cry once.
This was is that your like the pandemic's over moment?
I don't know. Maybe. Man, I definitely had a moment during the pandemic. I remember, because I was like, spent a lot of time going on walks. I spent like about 3 months or more. I'd have a schedule where I'd work until about 1 o'clock, and then I'd spend from 1 to 2 calling people in Florida for Joe Biden.
Right.
Not that I necessarily give a fuck about Joe Biden as much as I was like,
Or Florida.
Right. I just like, we got to beat Trump,
Right.
And that's a whole other. Man, the Florida conversations were crazy. But and
we'll
then
wrap with that.
Yeah. And then and then after calling for an hour, then I'd go on a walk for an hour or so. And like I remember I had this one moment like listening to Jeff Buckley's Hallelujah and like over by Cafe Flora and totally just started crying.
Oh yeah.
Because it was like all the stress of the fucking whatever, and also just such a beautiful song,
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
But going back to the music that you had in your household, basically your parents' music.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Are you like, thanks, mom and dad, for
Totally
having that shit around? It's
I
good
still
stuff.
listen to most of the music I listen to is like people who are like 80 years old or dead,
Right.
I'm just an old guy when it comes to music. Like, I'm like, man, you should have heard music in the 90s, man. It was cool.
Yeah.
I'm a big music head, and I love music, but I'm really only hip until like 2006.
Ooh,
which
that's
might be
later than me.
Maybe like 3 years after college, and then like I just like can't keep up,
Oh, no, right,
and I
right.
I started a career it's hard because like I work with words all day, so I can't like listen to stuff with words.
You write.
Yeah,
it's really hard to
exactly.
listen to music and write. Yeah.
Unless it's like words in a language I don't understand.
Yeah.
If it's Portuguese, it's cool, I don't understand Portuguese.
Exactly.
Spanish is a little harder,
Yeah, hard to listen to podcasts also.
Yeah, I cannot listen to podcasts when I work. I just started listening to podcasts on my walks
Exactly.
because I have time
Exactly.
to listen to them.
Exactly. Okay, let's go back to San Diego. So, were you cool with it, or were you like, I'm gonna graduate from high school and get out of here and see more of the world, live somewhere else?
Growing up in San Diego was awesome.
Okay.
Like even then I was like, this is cool. But
What about it?
Well, I still wanted more, But I grew up in a place called University City. It originally was built so that the people who worked at UCSD could have housing. So it was like, it's east of La Jolla, north of Claremont. It's like, growing up is middle class, upper middle class.
Yeah.
And now it's like really expensive. Now it's like a fancy place, I think.
Right.
But but it's like super suburbia.
Yeah.
And so,
But is it more than weather and Mexican food?
that's two great things.
For sure, but is
mean-
there more to it that you liked as a kid, as a teenager? And as a kid?
Yeah, it was just beautiful.
Yeah, it is.
We did what most of my high school years. What we did is me and my buddies, we'd hop in the car and we'd drive around smoking weed, looking for more places to smoke weed at.
Exactly.
But they were like, we'd drive to La Jolla, which was like only like 15 minutes away, 10 minutes away, and like there'd be these beautiful places like above the ocean.
Yeah.
Like when we had nothing to do, we had fuck all to do. We went to this place called La Jolla Farms, which is like literally the cliffs above Black's Beach.
Oh wow.
It's like, we have nothing to do. I guess we'll just go there again
And get high.
and just smoke weed and eat ecstasy and just chill out,
Yeah. Do you want to talk about what other, like, were you drinking at all? Or
Yeah. I got into drugs and booze early, but like I'm lucky that I don't have the gene that says more.
Oh, right.
I've always enjoyed drugs and booze to a certain extent, but like never problematically.
Mm-hmm. Are you the oldest? You have siblings?
I got a younger brother, yeah.
So it's just the two of you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I started smoking weed when I was like 14 and started drinking when I was probably 15. I got so much poison oak growing up, smoking weed in the canyons. I'm like PTSD just from poison oak. Like I see it, I'm just like, get the fuck away from me.
So there was a price to pay for doing drugs.
Oh my god.
Nancy Reagan was right.
Are you kidding me? Like I fucking hate poison. Like so, San Diego.
Yeah, it's gnarly.
It's mostly like mesas and canyons, you know, and so like you just go and you can take the canyons all over, and so we just go down in the canyons and like smoke weed and like hang out with homeless people and just like have weird fucking days as teenagers, and it got a lot of poison oak. A lot of poison oak.
A lot of this sounds familiar, minus the poison oak about your life now, hanging out with homeless people and doing drugs.
Yeah, kind of, yeah. I don't smoke weed anymore, though, barely. I mean, occasionally.
Okay.
Like, it just makes me so paranoid now.
Well, now that it's legal, it's not fun.
What? It's just so strong. I smoke weed, I'm just like, is Morgan mad about that thing I said in 8th grade? You know, like...
The answer is yes.
Sorry, Morgan.
Yes. Yeah.
I hope you're listening. I'm sorry.
Okay. So then when it came time to when you graduated from high school,
yeah,
I'm assuming, and then you're like, I'll go to college. Was it always like, was it ever a question that you would leave? You're like,
oh, I knew I was getting out of San Diego for sure. Okay. I mean, it was just like, I don't know, you want to get away from where you're from, you know, and I went and checked out some colleges, and UC Santa Cruz. You know, remember, I was like a crunchy hippie wannabe kid. You know. Yeah. I didn't realize how much I was a wannabe hippie till I got to UC Santa Cruz. I was like, all right, you know, I think I'm done with this whole fucking thing, this charade.
Yeah. You graduated hippie undergrad, and
totally.
then went to hippie
grad school. Hippie university. It was like, all right. But yeah, I went to UC Santa Cruz, and it was one of the best decisions I ever made in my life.
Can I hear real quickly what other schools you visited though?
Yeah,
and considered?
Visited Humboldt.
Okay.
And Davis and maybe Berkeley. San Diego State was my backup, you know?
Sure, right, if you didn't get in.
Right.
Okay.
But my first choice was, even if I'd gotten to Berkeley, which I did not get to do, I still would have gone to UC Santa Cruz. It just felt like it fit me, you know? Yeah. And also, have you been to that fucking campus?
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, you're in on a hill in the Redwoods with a view of the ocean.
Yeah, it's stupid.
Well, I like walked through like Ewok lands to get to classes.
Right.
It's crazy.
Right. And you said 99, 2000?
Yeah, I started in 99.
Okay. Let's hear about your time in Santa Cruz.
It was like blessed.
Okay.
It was so great. Like, I mean, to be fair, like, I didn't even have grades when I was there. It was still pass-fail when I was there, you know?
Okay.
And so, like, imagine, like, you know, I'm 18 years old. I'm straight out of high school, and I'm, like, living in the dorms and, like, surrounded by these, like, really fucking cool, interesting people. Like, to this day, the people who I was friends with in the dorms are doing amazing things. Like Jesse Thorne, you know Jesse Thorne? He's one of the he's like one of the first podcasters, really. His thing's called, it used to be called The Sound of Young America, now it's called Bullseye. Okay. But he's been podcasting since we were in Santa Cruz, basically. And he's got his own podcast network. He's on NPR and all this stuff. There's Shakina Nafak, and she's like on Broadway, and she's in all kinds of shows like Difficult People, and she was in
love that show.
Yeah, she's also like I think maybe the first trans actress to be considered for the Academy Award. Kind of, she's incredible, man.
And you went to college with her.
Yeah, Shakina's a good friend of mine. Ashcon, you know, from viral video fame, you know, from the Giant song. Anton Patzner, who was violinist in like Bright Eyes and The Faint, and, and now him and his wife have this band called Foxtail Brigades, and they he also scores movies and all kinds of like there's other people I can't even think of. Just really cool, talented people who were all there at the one time, you know. And that was just Porter College. But I was at, there's another 10 colleges, or no, at that time 9 colleges there. All kinds of cool people, and so surrounded by these people in this beautiful place. And it was like so free and freeing, and like it was like you were expected to experiment and be weird. Like there's a thing called First Rain where everybody takes off their clothes and runs naked the first time it rains. I didn't do that because it was really cold that night, but I did it on the last rain. You know, it was like a lot warmer.
Sorry, it's just evoking memories of the Seinfeld episode.
The shrinkage
yeah.
I was like, yeah, it's really cold, but I got naked and ran the last time it rained in my freshman year. You know,
you eventually made it.
Yeah, it was great.
Did you care about the school part much, or were you more just like the social world and the just, you know, the fucking beauty and all that stuff?
I'm one of those people who like if it doesn't come easy to me, I don't like it, you know?
Well,
And
there's
so,
something
like,
to be said for that, right?
So like I've never been good at math and science, you know.
You let other people be good at that stuff for you.
I'm not gonna say I didn't cheat to get through math and science in high school, you know. But you know, I like the conceptual ideas of science. I just, you know, the math part bothers me.
Application.
So like, you know, I didn't really have to worry about that as much in college. And so like, as someone who's like a writer and a verbal person, and like I like history, getting to focus on classes that I liked. Like I've always been good at school, you know. Better at some parts than others, obviously.
Yeah.
But and so college is really cool in terms of that. I like the school part. I mean, granted, if I went to school now at 40 as opposed to 18, I would definitely have a different experience.
Oh,
I'd
totally.
be much more focused on it. But you know, school was a lot cheaper then than it is now. And like I was there as a liberal arts degree. I got a degree in American Studies, which is like how to be a waiter when you get out of college, you know? Like,
Right.
But you know, American Studies is like a mixture of like history, sociology, and like politics, you know?
Right.
And it was awesome.
Did you come straight to San Francisco from Santa Cruz?
So my summer between my junior and senior year of college, I had an internship in San Francisco at Bill Graham Presents.
Oh, yeah. What year was that?
That summer of 2002.
Okay.
So I was throwing concerts in Santa Cruz, and I'm so glad that I got out of that because but so I got an internship at Bill Graham Presents, and there's still people I'm still friends with there from that time. I saw so many great shows that summer.
Yeah. During your internship?
Yeah, during my internship, yeah.
Unpaid internship?
Yeah, it was unpaid for sure.
As it goes. But you got the experience of being here.
It was good. I got to go to all kinds of shows for free that summer at the Fillmore and like Shoreline, whatever. And so that summer, I met my first serious girlfriend on the bus here in San Francisco, Tia. So yeah, so we met on the 71 bus. We were together for like 3.5 years after that or something like that. And she, because she was a student at, she was about to be a student at USF.
Okay.
So anyways, so she moved here right after the summer, and I went back to Santa Cruz, and I was here every other weekend.
Right.
You know, so I consider when I first moved here in 2002, that was that summer, because I was here every other weekend after that, and then as soon as I graduated, I moved up here like 5 days later.
In 2002?
2003.
2003, okay.
But I still consider 2002 when I first moved here.
Got it. Can we go back, because there must have been, like, what was your first time and impression of San Francisco? What was your first time to come here?
Well, the first time I came here, I was a kid, and I don't remember that much.
Right, okay.
But I remember vague memories of like the cable car turnaround and the cable car turnaround guy. My brother had real long hair. My brother, the cable car, thought he was my little sister. The guy, and he was like, "Oh, your sister wants to help too." And then also there was some cool cab driver who gave us a bunch of baseball cards for some reason. I don't remember. But
nice.
But then when I came here as more of an adult, I had a cousin when I was in Santa Cruz. My cousin Becky was here in the city, and so I used to come up and stay on her couch or her floor, and we'd go out. I remember like one of the first bars I went to in the city was Casanova.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and also Amnesia. Yeah,
Still
but like
there.
I remember like
Not
getting off
there.
the bus and just walking. And I was like, this place is so cool. And this is probably like if I was I was 21 years old, so it must have been like 2002.
Okay.
Before 2001, maybe. Yeah,
Okay.
something like that.
Okay.
And I was like, there's so much happening here. I need to be here.
Yeah, because especially coming as a kid, you might not have the memories, but like San Francisco is so different, so different than San Diego.
Especially totally different. Like coming from San Diego is a whole other world.
Totally different world. Okay. Well, let's get you. So now you're like, I'm moving here.
Yeah, I mean, it was the next logical step. It couldn't stay in
Yeah.
Santa Cruz.
Right.
Santa Cruz is lovely, but it was so small.
Yeah.
And I'm a big personality.
That was Broke-Ass Stuart. On the next episode of Storied San Francisco, Stuart continues the story of his life and his move to San Francisco. Part 2 drops this Thursday. Music for the podcast was produced, performed, and curated by Otis McDonald. Original photography is by Michelle Kilfeather. Aaron Lim of Bitch Talk Podcast is our contributing producer. And the show is produced and hosted by me, Jeff Hunt. Now in our 4th season, we have more than 150 episodes available on our website, storiedsf.com, or wherever you listen to podcasts. If you can, subscribe, rate, and review our show so we can reach even more folks. And if you'd like to drop us an old-fashioned email, we'd love that. The address is storiedsf@gmail.com. Thanks for listening. Stay safe, stay strong, stay healthy, and we'll see you next time.
This podcast is a proud member of the BFF.FM podcast network. Learn more at podcasts.bff.fm.
BFF.FM, best frequencies forever.